probably just spend time together. I guess do something. Yeah, so you're gonna enjoy it.
Testing. 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 Testing.
A little bit.
Testing. 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 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. Thank you. Thank you. All rise. If you've got a hat on it, please remove it. We're going to ask the High Sheriff of Sequatchie County, Bill Phillips, to lead us in prayer and also sing the, lead us in So, Sheriff Phillips.
Sure. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for just another blessed day. We thank you, Lord, for the privilege we have to be a part of such a wonderful place as Sequatchie County. We thank you for your blessings upon this county and everything that you've done here. Lord, we're in a time now where we need your guidance. We ask, Lord, that you bless our commission as they consider this business before them tonight. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I want to welcome everybody to the special call meeting of the Sequatchie County Commission this Thursday, April 17th, 2025. I want to welcome our friends, thank you, BTC Fiber, and also Mike Madalena for covering this for us tonight. We appreciate any and all and welcome these coverages. Madam Clerk, let's see who's here. Roll call, please.
Chester Shell.
Yes.
Linda Landowski. Here. Brian Ruling.
Here.
Dwayne Lane.
Here.
James Freeland.
Here.
Brian Walker.
Here.
Joyce Dodson. Here. James Wilson.
Here.
Jeff Barger.
Here.
Paul Powell.
Here.
Michael Hudson.
Here.
June Dishman. Here. Frank Silver.
Yes.
Susie Bostick. Here. Wayne Clemens.
Here.
Tommy Johnson.
Here.
Tom Venero.
Here.
Jeff Mack.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, we have a quorum. Commissioners, in your package, you should have received the minutes from the March 31st, 2025. I'll entertain a motion to approve said minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Mackey. I have a second from Mr. Powell. Any questions, additions, deletions, corrections? Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, said minutes hereby pass. With the commission. Okay, at this special call meeting, there will be no reports. We're here for the exclusive emergency room proposals. After that will be questions for the public. There'll be a 15-minute period allotted for those questions only. No comments. A couple of rules that we have. 2 minutes per speaker. So, and again, if you hear your question asked, no need to come up and ask it again. If they cover it, but if they don't, you're welcome to come up and ask the question. And absolutely, unequivocally, no personal attacks. I've got an ex-state champion wrestler here tonight, and I'll have her throw you out. No, but we welcome everybody, and we appreciate you being here. So moving on, we have representatives from Erlanger and Park Ridge, and Ms. Stephanie, well, I welcome you to come and present first.
So thank you. I think everyone knows me, but I'm Stephanie Boynton, Market President and CEO of Outreach for Erlanger. So happy to be here tonight. I think I can probably speak for a lot of us. It's been a long couple of weeks that we've been working on this. So happy that we're at this point. And I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to come back and present this. I'm not going to present a lot tonight because certainly we've been through several presentations, and I appreciate all the opportunity that we've had to speak to the community. But you do have a lease, and I'm sure it's in your packet. And this lease that you have from Erlanger, it is a 15-year lease with a 10-year renewal. It is a triple net lease, and we added some things that we think are important to the commission. We heard that there was concern on the lawn care and the landscaping, and certainly we've added that. It's not an issue. Fair market value rent is included on the square footage. I know the out clause was an issue before. There was a 180-day out clause in some previous contracts we had submitted. So that has been removed, and that's been replaced with a 365, a one-year out clause. And the kicker with that is that out clause cannot be implemented until after 5 years into the contract. So I think those are some important things. There's also been some other questions asked of me if we were willing to change some things in the contract, and we certainly are. If those are important to the commission, we're committed to growing with Sequatchie Valley. I mean, we've certainly talked about that a lot the last few weeks, the growth in this area. We've seen it. We want to grow the area too. So in the package too, you'll find that we're willing to fully fund the renovations for the expansion once EMS is moved out. What we're asking for is a ground lease, and again, that would be at fair market value. So I think all of this would not be possible. We wouldn't be standing here if we hadn't have had a great 11 years in Sequatchie County. So I truly want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to this community, all the folks that are here tonight. I think Sequatchie County should be very proud of what we have. And I just want to say that we're grateful for the partnership. And again, we've moved up the health rankings 50 places in a decade, which is phenomenal if you look at trends. And I know this wouldn't be possible if we hadn't had the partnership, but it also wouldn't be possible without the team that we have at Sequatchie Valley and for Erlanger. So with that, I want to say thank you. I can't imagine working with a better team. And this team has gotten so much support from the community lately. It's been overwhelming. This has been a tough process on all of us. I certainly don't envy you as commissioners for having to make the decision that you're having to make. But I do want to say the outpouring of support that we have received from this community and our patients has been just overwhelming, and so we're so grateful. So again, I just want to say thank you to the staff that's here, thank you to the staff at Erlanger, for our physicians, our employees, and I also want to say thank you to the commission, and more importantly, thank you to the community for allowing us to serve you for the last 11 years, and we're certainly hopeful that we get the opportunity to continue this relationship and continue to grow.
Thank you, Stephanie. And from Park Ridge, we have CEO, Mr. Chris Cosby.
Thank you, County Executive. Chris Cosby, President and CEO of Park Ridge Health System. I do have one other person who's going to talk tonight. One of my board members, Mayor Brian Williams, the mayor of East Ridge, would like to talk. Mayor, and then I will follow up after him.
Very good. We welcome Mayor Williams.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Brian Williams. I proudly serve as the mayor of the city of East Ridge. East Ridge borders Georgia to the south and Chattanooga to the north. I-75 runs through East Ridge, where we are home to Bass Pro, Topgolf, Park Ridge East Hospital, to name a few. I'd like to take a few minutes to share the experience and partnership between HCA Park Ridge and the city of East Ridge. In 1974, East Ridge Hospital opened its doors and immediately began serving the medical needs of our community and surrounding areas. In 1993, Park Ridge made an investment in East Ridge by acquiring the hospital, which became part of the Park Ridge family, which is now known as Park Ridge East Hospital. Not long after joining Park Ridge System, the hospital launched a first-class neonatal intensive care unit, which since has expanded to a level 3 NICU, offering critical care to our region's most vulnerable newborns as early as 22 weeks. Over the years, Park Ridge has remained at the forefront of medical innovation, offering advanced surgical services in areas such as robotics, orthopedics, and other complex procedures. Over the past 10 years, Park Ridge has completed projects totaling over $76 million. This includes the construction of a $15 million freestanding emergency room at Camp Jordan, a multi-million-dollar upgrade to imaging equipment, 6 additional postpartum rooms that opened last year, the expansion of the Women's Services Unit, creating a state-of-the-art, family-centered environment for maternity care. The birthplace at Park Ridge East now includes 29 postpartum beds, 9 labor and delivery rooms, and 22-bed level 3 NICU. Currently, Park Ridge has $14 million in projects underway, including renovating the medical surgical units, the ICU, and full renovation of and redesign of the kitchen and cafeteria. Also, additional labor rooms will open at the end of summer. Last year, Park Ridge cared for over 45,000 patients through the emergency room, delivered 2,200 babies, and performed 3,500 surgeries. All of this, I want to emphasize the deep commitment, passion, investment, and community partnership that HCA Park Ridge brings to our community, as well as Park Ridge East being one of the largest employers of over 500 employees in our city. They don't just operate a hospital in our city. They partnered with our city to proudly support community events, including fall festivals, Christmas parades, beautification projects, as well as collaborating with our local elementary schools to provide thank you meals to the teachers and volunteers for the school career day. Thank you for the opportunity for me to share the long-term relationship, commitment, partnership with the City of East Ridge and HCA Park Ridge. I have no doubt that if given the opportunity to invest in your community, Park Ridge will bring the same level of excellence, compassion, and long-term dedication to Sequatchie County and this entire region.
Thank you, Mayor Williams.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you for letting Mayor Williams speak. I appreciate that. So good evening. It's my pleasure to be with you tonight. I've really enjoyed the past few weeks visiting different areas of Sequatchie County that I've never seen. Meeting the people, getting to know them. There's great people that live in this community. They're very passionate about their community. They're very passionate about their health care, and I've really enjoyed that. I have no doubt that we're the right partner. Sequatchie is growing. You need a partner who can fund that growth, and we are those people. To the employees of Erlanger, and I know this is emotional, and I know change is hard, but I would tell you we are here to offer you a job. We're going to honor your years of service. That includes your retirement. That includes PTO and insurance. We are there to make sure that it's easy for you. I know it's hard, but we will definitely be there. As long as you pass a background check, we are going to offer you a job. Money paid to the county. A portion of the building is currently occupied by a different tenant, the ambulance service. Park Ridge is prepared to offer the county $156,000 a year for the current emergency room footprint. We will raise that offer to $224,000 a year, $225,000 a year once we occupy the entire building. Our lease proposal includes a 3% rent increase per year during the entire 25 lease term. Whether we occupy a portion of the building or the whole building, Park Ridge will bear the full cost of all standard tenant expenses and repairs associated with the space we occupy. Once Park Ridge does assume the entire building, which we think will be really fast, we will take no involvement from the county on paying for the building maintenance. What is our capital commitment? We're promising a minimum investment of $2 million in tenant improvements. This includes things such as complete facelift to the outside of the building, floors, landscaping, furniture, and signage. The building will be brought up to the higher standard and with something that the community can point to and be proud of. The $2 million investment is separate from the cost of bringing the state-of-the-art medical equipment that is actually needed in the ER, and for what we pledged a minimum of investment of $1.5 million. Combined again with that, I want you to hear the word minimum. The minimum capital we're promising is $3.5 million. We know that will be higher. We are putting no cap on our capital because after touring the building, we have no doubt that it will be well above the $5 million, and we're fully committed to funding that with no help from the county, no ask for the county to take on any debt. Whether we have no out clause in our facility and our plan, which means we assume all liability for the cost. Providing service to the community. Park Ridge is a network with all major insurance plans. Additionally, if patients present themselves at our emergency room without insurance, we absolutely provide them the health care they deserve. We do not turn anyone away who walks through the doors of our ERs. And furthermore, we have financial assistance policy that rivals the best in the industry. We do not report unpaid balances, and we do not sue people in court for unpaid balances. As for our current services go, Park Ridge insured primary care services remain available at Sequatchie County. Additionally, we'll continue to provide imaging and lab services at this facility. We have established a strong relationship with ambulance services. There will be no changes to EMS coverage and emergency air transport. Closure. When it comes to closure to this facility, I believe there's some misinformation that's being spread in the community. We have initially proposed an October 1st lease commencement date in an effort to be a good partner to the community and to Erlanger in a transition. This was actually done to give both parties time to prepare for the change and to eliminate any closure or downtime at the ER. We do not control all the variables that determine this lease commencement date, but if we are chosen to operate the ER, we'll do everything we can to minimize disruption and downtime. We will cooperate with Erlanger to ensure a smooth transition and successful launch of a revamped and improved ER facility to serve the residents of Sequatchie County. In closing, Commissioners, I know change is hard, but I'm going to ask you to be brave and partner with the health system that will partner with you for a long term and also bring the money to do so. Thank you.
Now, we're to the point, we have had around our county 5, I think that's accurate, town hall meetings. So these two have already done this 5 previous times. So they're well acquainted and they may even be at each other's family reunion. I'm not quite sure. They handle
There's no
themselves-
hard feelings.
Yes, they handle themselves professionally and ethically, and I'm very impressed. So we're to the point now that these two will entertain questions from the public. And I'm going to go in reverse order. Terry Whistler, I'm not sure if this is a lady or a man. I don't. Okay, that answers the question. He did.
Drama's unveiled.
Absolutely. Mr. Whistler.
Hello. My name's Terry Whistler. I've been in Sequatchie County for 2.5 years, which means I don't know anything. I accept that. I know that a lot has gone on regarding healthcare in this county in the last 10 years. There's been a lot of battles. I wasn't part of any of it. I have that humility. What I do question is the nature of the process that I seem to have observed in the last 2 weeks, because I believe it's in the last 2 weeks that virtually anybody has heard anything about this. The contract with Erlanger ceased nearly 1.5 years ago. It sat quiet on a month-to-month basis. And I don't understand how the RFP was produced without any public involvement and submitted for arrival of contracts that I still haven't even seen the proposal for in writing from both individuals. I did see one of them because I got one of the presenters to give it to me. I question that the commissioners have had time to digest what any of this has been about. There's been no committee action on any of it, no report out to the commission as a whole that I'm aware of. But 17 days ago, it sprung forth full blown and has been a whirlwind that has uprooted this community in ways that don't make sense to me, absent a true emergency. And I understand the discomfort that many of the employees must be feeling, have been feeling for the last years. And I'm sorry for that. I really appreciate that it's got to be difficult. And the need for closure is probably very strong. But I've got to ask if, in fact, proceeding at this level at this time is appropriate, or whether a timeout to let some of the passions cool, to allow the proposals to at least be seen side by side in black and white so the commissioners and this community can see what's being offered, isn't the appropriate thing to do, rather than rush to some sort of an authorization to go into a room and hammer out some final details on a contract that very few have even seen or understand.
Okay, your time's up.
That's my question.
Is there, we
The
got
question
your
is, will you in fact entertain a delay to this process so that this county can be assured that the final result leads to the best possible conclusion for health of the county?
We will entertain that.
Thank you.
I will say that, yes. Ms. Mitchell, do you want to comment anything with that? I think I just answered the question.
Yeah, you answered it.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Whistler. Okay, up next, Ms. Nora Miller.
Hello everybody, I am with the high school in our clinical internship program, and we work with Erlanger, as most of you know, and we have a hands-on component such as taking vital signs, just helping the patients with anything they really need. So like blood pressure, pulse ox, temperature, things like that. We also can place EKGs if a person comes in with chest pain. So my question would be, will we still have that hands-on component with Park Ridge?
Very good. You've got two folks that'll answer that question, so you can sit down if you need to, or stay right there.
The answer is yes. We've been asked that question before by somebody else, and yes, we will continue the same program. I'll add onto that is that what we would hope is those students will go into further healthcare inside of HCA's health system, get into one of our nursing school, Galen School of Nursing, where they can go to school for free.
Thank you. Stephanie?
So yes, certainly we will continue the program. Actually, you know, we've been very pleased with this program. We started it as to pretty much grow your own. In a rural community, sometimes staffing can be difficult, so we think it's important that we start with our youth and work up. And as Mr. Cosby mentioned, we also work with our staff. If you're an Erlanger employee, we have many programs that help you grow your education, and so that's what we're here to do, is to help the youth and hopefully improve the employee population that we have for the ER. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. I know this next name, Mr. Ed Gravitt.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to withdraw the question, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ed. Appreciate it. Ms. Allison Gould.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My concern is the emotional component of this decision process. I think that if the community and committee of the commission had been involved from the onset, and the request for proposal had been generated from all of the above, you know, I've been to several of these meetings, and the community wants mammograms and colonoscopies. Well, that's not on the RFP because the community didn't get a chance to ask to have that there. I'm sure there are several other things that folks would like to see, and I think that my thought is that if we gave Erlanger a year and we backed off on this whole thing now, started a committee or used an existing committee and did a new RFP, went through the process with all the community involvement, that it would be a far less emotional decision. And so tonight I'm asking the commission to consider my plan, or to create your own, that would allow this to become more of a step-by-step process with community involvement as opposed to how this was done heretofore. So my question is to the commission, and really the answer is just please think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Good. We appreciate it. You know, part of the RFP process is falls to me, the county. I'm the CEO of the county. Grateful for the opportunity to serve, and that falls to the CEO. I sign all contracts in the county. It doesn't matter what the contracts are, but if those contracts are more than a year, or they're more than $10,000, they have to be approved. Everything has to be approved by the county legislative body. So my job, that's what I do. When contracts are coming due, I try to vet and bring the best contract and or negotiation to the county legislative body, and that process was followed. So that's my statement to that. Okay, that concludes the question piece. Now,
Mr. Chairman,
I did not get a chance to go up front. Can I make a couple of comments? No, I mean, I have a question right here. Did you sign that, sir? Well, I didn't want to bother all these people, you know. Okay, I am going to allow, state your name and who you represent and ask your question. This is not a comment section.
Yes, I understand it. I have deeply thought question. My name is, my real name is Joachim Genziger, but I go by the name, I'm German, and I go by Joe. I'm a retired sergeant major from the U.S. Army. My experience with HCA is very negative. My last wife died of brain cancer, and when she was diagnosed by a doctor 150 yards away from an HCA facility. I come to the question.
Yeah, sounds like a personal attack.
No, I'm not. I'm just personal experience, not an attack. Anyway, the hospital was 150 yards away. We couldn't go there because my military health care TRICARE for Life was not acceptable to HCA. And so we had to find a not-for-profit hospital. My question is, you know, we have many folks living in this valley and in the mountains up here that are living, that only earning less than, you know, what I'm earning. And my question is, what will either one of the healthcare providers do for those people that need medical care, long-term medical care, but can't afford to pay for it?
Great question.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you, Mr. Joe.
Yes, thank you. That is a great question. And certainly we do a lot for the uncompensated care, for the indigent care in the Sequatchie County. If you have heard any of our other talks, we have talked about what Erlanger does. Erlanger, in the last almost 11 years, we've done approximately about $70 million of indigent care to Sequatchie County residents alone. So that averages about $6.5 million a year for what we provide. So we have no plans to discontinue that. We're going to continue to provide that care as we have always done. And to also, not sure that this was a question, but you mentioned the veterans, and certainly we take that as well.
Let me start with saying I'm sorry for the loss of your wife. Second, the TRICARE, yes, we take TRICARE across all of HCA. Third, the charity care. Stated this many times in multiple places, our policy is 400% of the federal poverty rate. So I believe that calculates somewhere to around $128,000 for a family of 4 who would actually qualify for our charity program. We write off all bills. We do not pursue payments in court. If you need to make payments, we'll allow you to make payments interest-free. We would do the same thing except for when you compare our policy to the others in the region, ours is twice as generous. Thank you.
Now, commissioners, we're opening this up for questions from you guys. I know several of you have questions. I'm just going to open it up. Mr. Shell.
Park Street asked a question about, the renovation. The renovation that y'all talked about paying for, does that also include the roofing and the air conditioning with your cost you're talking about?
Yeah, we would pay for, right now you have 10 AC units on that roof.
Right. 2
of them have been replaced in probably the past 6 years or maybe 8 years. The other 8 of them are definitely getting very close to end of life, and we would pay for that as soon as we assume the entire building, which we believe would be almost immediate due to the need to relocate the Puckett EMS service to a different location so we can expand and grow the ER because you need to add more beds. But yes, we pay for it.
Thank you.
To answer your question?
Now, guys, let me remind you and how Robert's rules work. Once you ask the question, anybody else that wants to ask a question needs to finish. We can't come back to you till everybody asks the question. So if you've got another one, Chester, real quick, ask it now.
We can't hear either microphone.
Can't hear the mic.
We can't hear it.
Yeah, well, do you need me to restate that?
Yes.
Can you turn that one up?
Everything's turned over.
Yeah, so Chester's question about, with all the renovations, will we cover the AC units and stuff on the roof? The answer is yes. Right now, you have 10 units on that roof, I believe. 2 of them's been replaced in the past 6 or 8 years. The other 8 are at probably very close to end of life, and we would pay for that.
Joyce, do you have another question down the road? Okay.
I don't know if they can hear, but we can't hear up here.
Okay. Did you hear him again? Did you hear him just?
Yes, but I mean,
Okay.
the microphones are not working.
And you guys may need to walk over a little bit. I know you don't have. Right in front of them if you need to. All right. Who's next? Any other questions for Mr. Cosby or Mr. Boynton?
Keith, I'll defer to you. There was a lot of concerns by some of the commissioners that were expressed to you. And I believe that you and Jennifer presented some concerns to both parties.
Yeah.
Rather than us ask them individually, do you have those questions there in regards to specific leases?
Yes.
I would ask you that you ask them instead of asking.
Okay, this, at the last meeting, Commissioner Venero, this is according to the minutes, which we approved, made a motion based on the oral presentations and questions asked and answered at the meeting for authority to be given to the county executive to enter into negotiations on contracted leases with both Erlanger and Park Ridge and request contracts to be provided for review by April 10th, 2025. Now, at that point, Councilor Mitchell and I reviewed those. Several of the commissioners got those copies, had several questions immediately. We had questions. We asked questions of both entities, Park Ridge and Erlanger, and those questions and answers, if you don't have them, some of you may have them. I've got those. Most of you has asked, what did they say? I've got those here. Now, the question is, you know, those contracts were due. There were certain hard questions. You guys may have those. And those questions, I feel, would be good answered to both parties. So, you know, you have them. Jennifer and I have already asked those questions and gotten answers from both parties. So I'll throw it out there like that. So if you guys have the questions, Mr. Johnson.
I think Commissioner Venero was asking the questions that were asked by you and Ms. Mitchell.
Correct.
Could they be read aloud? Is that what you were meaning?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be duplicative. I mean, I submitted some questions on my behalf, and some for the commissioners as their pro tem that had questions or concerns, so I submitted them. I could go and ask one by one. I prefer to have the county executive do that, but if that's the case, I can go through each one and ask the questions that were asked of me. I passed them on because they were the negotiating parties. So that, I think that is correct.
I will be glad to ask the questions that Councilor Mitchell and I both put together and asked. That's a good idea. Hold on. Okay, who's up first? Okay,
Ladies first.
Ms.
Ladies
Boynton?
first, all right, I'm up.
All right, here are the questions for Erlanger. This is after the submission. Stephanie, I have questions concerning, this is straight from the email.
Okay.
And I don't email a whole lot, mostly I pick up the phone and that's just how I am. So, but it was important to document these. And Section 9 gives Erlanger the right of first refusal to purchase or leasing of any property owned by Sequatchie County within a 5-mile radius of the Sequatchie Valley ED. Why is this in the contract, and would you remove this if it's a deal breaker?
Okay, so my question was, we will amend this. We will amend it to the surrounding property. And if most of you are familiar with any contracts, that's pretty much a standard clause in a lot of contracts for a building lease. And so 5 miles, that's pretty standard, but certainly it is never our goal to hold up progress in any way for Sequatchie County. So we're certainly willing to amend that to the surrounding property of the ED.
So in section 11C, it commits the county to paying for any capital items after depreciation if Erlanger decides to exercise their out clause. Would you remove this if it were a deal breaker?
Yes, we will remove it.
Section 21, Erlanger can borrow for capital improvements and upon termination of the lease to the county assumes the debt. Would you remove this from the contract lease if this is a deal breaker?
Yes, we will remove it.
Are you willing to commit money for expansion? If so, when and how much? We are willing, I'm sorry, go ahead. That's my
You want to do my answer?
Yes, I'm not giving your answer.
Give it the secret away. Yes, we are willing to fully fund the renovation cost. Just to read it, if the county signs the ground lease, this would be after EMS is relocated. And so we don't cap that to how much, and I think I addressed this at one of the other meetings, because if I put out a bid for a building contract today, it may be $4 million. If I put that contract or that proposal out again in 6 months, it may be $5 million. So it's not fair to me or the county for me to put a limit on that. So, but we are willing to fully fund it.
And for transparency, we mostly know this, but what's a ground lease?
A ground lease would be where we would actually lease the property. The building would become ours, but we to do with it to renovate it. And but the lease would actually be for the property. And again, that would be a fair market value, just as the lease currently is.
And that would be inclusive of potentially borrowing money on that?
Yeah, we would not ask the county to borrow any money. We are responsible for fully funding it if we can sign the lease.
Can the no fault out clause be taken out of the lease?
So we put this agreement has a 365-day out clause that cannot be utilized until after year 5.
That would love to make that to year 10.
At this point, we're having to stick with this. It's technically a 6-year out. We can't get out of it until 6 years. So I think that's a pretty standard. I mean, I think that's more than standard.
The county has the same option after.
Correct.
So that was the question. So if you guys.
My question is too on that 5-year out, 365 days. So really 6 years. There is a clause in that, and I forget which section it is, about the county taking the payments or taking over and reimbursing for any type of improvements that are done to the property. Would you be willing to, on that contract, take? Okay.
Section 21 is removed.
Is removed. All right, never mind.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sure.
I noted there's nothing in the lease about, is it the same rent for 15 years? Is there any?
We are willing to increase that. If that is certainly, I shared that with the county mayor that we're willing to increase that as well on a 3%.
Would you be willing to go with either a 3% or an indexed rate?
Yes, we're willing to go 3%.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Pardon me. Ms. Boynton?
Mr. Johnson.
The fair market value on lease rate, how did Erlanger come up with that?
We hired a third-party vendor to do an analysis to ensure that it was within fair market value. And that's how we determined the rate per square foot.
Anybody else from Ms. Boynton on those, or another question? Mr. Walker.
Would the ground lease agreement change the payment of the lease, of the monthly lease payment?
Yes, it would actually replace the lease. It would actually, instead of us leasing 2/3 of the building, we would lease the entire grounds. So it would be a brand new lease at that point that we would negotiate for it would be fair market value, and we put that in there as well.
And full transparency, it would be less. We know that because the buildings, you know.
I've not done the fair market value, so I couldn't tell you. I've not done a fair market value on the ground lease.
Ms. Linda.
You talk in one section about maintenance of the building being basically good or some sort of term like that. Would you be willing to commit to a standard for the condition of that building, what the maintenance standard is?
Yes, can you give me an example of what you're referring to?
Just basically building standards out in the industry. Buildings are kept to that level of condition. I don't have that off the top of my head, but that's something that would be in a standard commercial lease. And also, given that, would you be open to have the county do periodic inspections with maybe a 48-hour notice?
Yes, I welcome you to come now. Certainly anyone's welcome to tour the building at any point. And to answer your question, we're currently surveyed by an association called DNV, and that is a standard that a lot of hospitals are surveyed to, and that includes our life safety codes as well as our clinical surveys, and they do a building inspection. I'm happy to share that, or if there's something more, I'll certainly be open to discussing that. But they actually, you know, they're in the ceilings, they're everywhere, so we actually have that currently.
Any other questions for Ms. Boynton? They don't have to be these 5 questions I have, they could be questions you might have. Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Boynton.
Absolutely, thank you.
And the questions that we had for Park Ridge. In the contract, why CEO Cosby does October 1 start date?
That's just a placeholder. It's kind of hard to give a date when we need to work with the county and Erlanger for the transition. Just like I stated earlier, it's just a placeholder. We would hope that we could get the date that works best for all parties.
What happens if Erlanger doesn't cooperate and they just say, you know what, it's yours and we're packing up tomorrow and leaving? What are you going to do?
Yeah, you're going to see the power of HCA and our ability to mobilize fast. We can bring in a mobile CT, we can bring in a mobile lab, we can station ambulances there. We have way more resources than they do to do something like that. The difference between a ground lease and a building lease is on a ground lease, the rent payment will go down because the value is in the building.
Mr. Cosby, in the cover letter and in our town hall meetings throughout, where's the $5 million we've been talking about? Where is
Yeah, we stated up to $5 million. We have now shifted to no cap. That it is a minimum of $2 million, I believe, to go into making that building, bring it up to standards. A minimum of $1.5 million replacing equipment. We fully believe it will be way more than the $5 million. And I would like to make one more comment there. When we submitted ours, we didn't realize it would be after discussions about changes being made to contracts. But we're 100% open to negotiation to if there's changes that need to be made in the contract, we're willing to do it.
Very good. Why are certain items we've been discussing not in the lease? For example, the commitment to hiring the current employees. Why aren't those items in the land lease?
Yes, yeah, the building lease.
The building lease, yeah.
So I just want to make sure we clarify
Sure.
because there is a difference in rent being paid to the county. So I would tell you that that lease is for a building. It is not for employees. Those employees are not for leases, those are real people. And we're not going to lease them. And so the county does not own those employees, so that's why they're not in there. We have fully committed to that. I've publicly stated it here. I've publicly stated it in every town hall I've been in. It's on our website. It's very clear what we intend to do if the employees would like to come over to work for Park Ridge if we're blessed enough to take over the ER.
Are you willing to put that in an addendum to this?
Again, that is not a building lease.
I understand
But
that.
it is
But
you can do a minimum of
willing to-
understanding, but you're putting a value on a person in the lease. It's kind of wrong.
Oh, I understand that, but are you willing to put a memorandum of understanding towards that?
Yes, with the same caveats that we've been very public about. Yes, sir.
That's what I was asking for. Thank you.
Okay, next, a lot of the complicated parts where the county does maintenance and Park Ridge reimburses. I know that's part of the Stark Law, that's a new term for many of us, but could you expound on that?
Yeah, we have no desire to end up in the Department of Justice lawsuit. That is not, we do not want to go there. So due to that, the EMS is located in the building. County, you're a referral source. You refer patients to the ER because you contract with that EMS service, and that's how they bring patients to the ER. So that makes you a referral source, which means we are bound by law to go under stuff. So we cannot pay for maintenance or repairs or anything for something that's not occupied by us, especially if it's a referral source. Have the same kind of deals with physicians. We can't pay for stuff that falls under the Stark anti-kickback law. So, but like I stated earlier, and I've stated in the cover letter and other questions we've sent out, The moment we take over the entire building, which we think will be fast, we'll take over all maintenance.
Could that have been done in an exemption as opposed to 4 pages of trying to determine a 2-year period of potentially arguing over expenses? There's potentially 2 years of questioning back and forth, what expense is right. And if I'm correct, and Chairman, would we not have to budget for those potential expenses and try to guess or extrapolate what they are? I guess it just seems awfully 4 pages. Could you not have just said the expenses for the EMS side are exempt? Maybe I'm wrong, but this has been the biggest questions I've had, is no one understands those 4 pages.
Yeah.
Right, and it seems like it'd be a nightmare of accounting just to add to that.
Yeah, again, what I stated earlier, if I'd have known that we were going to talk about changing agreements and leases, we'd have had these conversations before now. But yes, we're very much open to a change.
And let me make this comment, just for transparency. Budget-wise, it's like a grant. We budget for the expected expenditure. We also budget for the expected revenue or the reimbursement. So that would be handled.
Yeah,
We do it every day. So.
Again, we think within a matter of months, we'd have the whole building anyway, so then that is completely off the table for the county.
I get that. Okay.
Commissioner Joyce, can you hear me?
Getting better.
Okay, I can speak really loud if you need me to.
Does your lease make the county responsible for any debt or borrowing?
Absolutely never. We would never ask the county for a penny.
Some questions. Does your lease give you the right of first refusal for leasing or purchasing of county property outside of the current hospital building?
Absolutely not, because that'll stunt economic growth. Imagine if you got a company looking to come into Sequatchie County and they find out that you've given me the ability to get first right of refusal on county land owned within 5 miles of the ER. It's going to stunt economic growth. We would never do that.
Now, Commissioner Shell already asked this question, but I just want to reread it. This was Jennifer and Keith question. Does your lease require the county to repay you for the repairs you make, such as the roof or air conditioning, at the end of the lease?
Absolutely not. Say it one more time loud and clear so everybody hears. We will never ask the county for 1 penny.
Does your lease have any discretionary out clause?
Absolutely not. It's committed for a straight 10 years with no out clause.
Commissioners, any further questions for Park Ridge or Erlanger?
I got a couple.
Mr. Barker.
Kind of bouncing off of what Mr. Mackey said earlier. If you get, sir, and I think this kind of goes into it, Erlanger decides we're not going to cooperate, we're going to pack up and leave, right? Erlanger currently holds the CON for Sequatchie County, and they decide not to cooperate on that as well. How are you going to open up?
Yeah, before we even responded to the RFP, we called the state and their attorneys and our attorneys and made sure there was a pathway for us to do that. And if they do not have the building, absolutely we can get emergency CON hearing and get the license.
How long is that going to take?
Matter of weeks. Before they can even get out of the building, we'll have it.
And then I have one more. I mean, kind of follow up on Mr. Johnson was talking to Stephanie. I know in the original RFP it was 3.5 to 5 million investment into the building, and you stated earlier you walked through the building just about last week. How did you come up with that number?
Yeah, so it wasn't just me that walked through the building.
Okay.
We had 4 individuals who joined me from Nashville. They're our design and construction people, and this is something they do every single day. They manage billions of dollars in projects a year. And so when they walked through the building and looked at it, that's why we came back and said, hey, 5 million is not enough. And that's why we're saying there's no cap and willing to commit more.
Any further questions for Mr. Cosby or Ms. Boynton? Yes, Linda.
Can you just clarify section 3, real estate taxes, association fees 3.1? It says landlords shall pay and discharge prior to their delinquency all real estate taxes and assessment for public improvements now or hereinafter assessed or levied against the land in the building.
I think that's saying if there's any debt due in there that we're not gonna cover the debt that's due on that, whether it's taxes or anything else there might be.
In section 5, maintenance and repairs, it looks like landlord shall maintain in good repair and condition all the building except the interior and common areas.
Yeah, no, that we will replace the AC units and stuff like that, but there's a structural issue with the building, that's a different story.
That's not clear in here.
Yeah, well, again, like I stated earlier, if we need to change, we need to negotiate, because there's been conversations about changing the agreement with Erlanger. We welcome those same discussions that there needs to be changes to make an agreement.
And then the last one that's related, section 11, landlord services. Landlord shall provide all the following utilities and services, and it lists all the utilities.
Yeah, that, again.
That's just to the to the property.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we will pay for all of it. Again, we need nothing from the county, not one penny.
Anyone else? Okay, guys,
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Okay, we have some legal issues to go over with County Attorney Mitchell and our consultant, Terry, Mr. Terry. So we will recess at this point. It is now 6:50. It's going to be 45 minutes to an hour that we will reconvene here. So if you need to, I wouldn't go eat anything outside of, City of Dunlap, but we shall reconvene in 45 minutes to an hour here. Get up, stretch your legs, go outside. I know it's a little warm. Get something to drink. But we stand in recess at this point.
Coming here with us.
I'm going outside, yeah.
Jeff Mackey done it.
I'm getting small.
Okay, we hereby reconvene this special call meeting here on April 17th, 2025. At this point, I will entertain a motion going forward.
I make a motion that we reject both proposals and reissue a new RFP.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? I have a second. Mr. Schick, let's do this. Same to Mr. Clemens. We have a motion from Mr. Clemens. We will now open it up for discussion. Mr. Venero.
So I came here tonight to execute a vote for our people. I think our people demanded it. I think there's been a very hard discussions through all these town halls, on Facebook. This has been very hard. We've got here to criticize. We have two fantastic entities making two good proposals that's only going to help our county from where we are right now. So I personally am prepared to make a vote tonight. So I won't support that motion. I'll just vote no. I will have a roll call. Meetings in my 9th district, just like I said here on March 31st, I'm going to listen to my constituents up in the 9th district. That's what Mr. Mackey and I have done. So I came here tonight to vote. So I guess I'm disappointed with that motion, but that's my comment period. I was prepared to vote and still am prepared to vote this evening.
My comment is I agree 100% with my fellow county commissioner in the 9th district.
Mr. Hudson.
You won't hear me say this often, but I agree.
Mr. Barber.
You won't hear me say this either, but I agree with Mr. Venero and Mr. Mackey here. I came here to make a vote tonight.
As well as me.
Mr. Shell.
I'd like to, as much as I disagree with Tom and Jeff, I still agree with tonight on what we say. We can set the other recess.
Anybody else? Okay, Ms. Linda, would you repeat your motion? Because that's on the floor. We have a second. We will roll call this, but please repeat the motion, please.
Reject both proposals and reissue a new RFP. And
is that clear? We have a second from Mr. Clemens. Any further comment or discussion, engagement? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chester Shell?
No.
Linda Landowski?
yes,
Ron Ruling?
No.
Dwayne Lane?
No.
James Breland?
No.
Brian Walker?
No.
Joyce Dodson?
no,
James Wilson?
No.
Jeff Barker?
No.
Paul Powell?
No.
Michael Hudson?
No.
Jim Dishman? Frank Silver?
No.
Susie Bostick? No. Wayne Clemens?
No.
Tommy Johnson? Tommy
No.
Johnson? Tom Venero? Jeff Mackey?
No.
Okay, the motion is second hereby failed. I will now at this point entertain another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to this county commission that this legislative body formally reject the lease proposal from Park Ridge. I further make the motion that our county executive, to direct our county executive and county attorney to perfect the contract with Erlanger Health Systems based on the changes that Erlanger agreed to this evening in oral presentations, to be presented to the full commission at its May 19th, 2025 meeting scheduled for formal. That way we will formally adopt that contract at that meeting.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? I've got a second from Jimbo Breeden. Any discussion, comments going forward?
yes, I have some.
Yes,
So I
Mr.
want to
Lee.
explain why my motion was put on the floor. So I absolutely agree with overwhelmingly my district voted for one entity over the other, and I believe the whole county did also. However, as a commissioner, I also have to weigh a risk to the county by the way the process was conducted. So that's my rationale. I will absolutely support the people that elected me in my district, but I also have to weigh the risk, and that's why I submitted that motion. I just wanted you all to know.
Me as a commissioner in the first district with her, I totally agree with her in that form that she, her best interest is for our district.
Mr. Venero.
What I want to say is, I went back to my district and advocated for both as a commissioner, being unbiased, presented what I had. Both proposals, Park Ridge has been phenomenal to come into this county, bring an RFP, bring something new to the table, bring fresh ideas, and bring a good history. I didn't agree with my constituents on what happens in the past here and there. That wasn't relevant to that decision. But I also said, what will my constituents say? And for me, had with all those town halls, had Park Ridge been able to move the needle in my district where I could make a decision between the two just on the face of the documents alone and what's negotiated brought, it would have happened. But it was a overwhelming request to stick with Erlanger, regardless of my own individual opinion, one way or the other. And this included people in the medical industry that live in my subdivision, that have experience. I listened to everybody. I listened to those, I listened to the common person. We probably talked to over 250 people, Jeff and I, combined in our district. This is not meant to be an offense to Park Ridge. I have friends on both sides. Everyone has given, the effort's almost unbelievable on both sides. But at the end of the day, when I sit here and say my constituents have to take priority if I can live with either of the contracts, and that it's not just about the constituents, but when you have two there that can serve the county, one may be better than the other, and that's why I advocated for both. But when the constituents say, Mr. Venero, you are our county commissioner, whether the reason's right, wrong, or irrelevant, we ask you, please stay with Erlanger. Today, 9 more emails, 100 more texts, stay with Erlanger, stay with Erlanger. I have to have a huge burden to be able to change that to my district. So this isn't telling Park Ridge, yet this doesn't mean your thing wasn't great. It was great. They both have been. The timing wasn't right for the 9th district, and the timing may not be right for the county. The needle didn't move at all after all the town halls from the people I talked to. And I've never seen a commission be so active in 12 years of going out there and holding these town halls, taking effort and getting these opinions. But at the end of the day, the needle didn't move. I'll speak for my own district. I can't emphasize that enough. This isn't a personal thing. It got personal on some things. A lot of crazy allegations about what we as commissioners do and how we've already made a decision a month ago. Hurtful, but part of the job. But at the end of the day, my vote was for the constituents. It wasn't taking, I like Erlanger, I like Park Ridge better. I have my own personal preference. Not relevant, because we have 2 contracts that are good. My people want 95% for Erlanger. That's it. That's what the vote is about. That's it.
And I'm going to add just a little bit to that, because I spent a little bit of time, just a little bit of time out on social media, putting the sides of that, and I tried to play very, very, very neutral with that. I put out the pros and cons of everything, and I got to say it was overwhelmingly backed for Erlanger. They wanted the Erlanger to stay here. The people wanted to stay here. I am not going to sit here tonight and vote to postpone this and kick the can down the road. Our county deserves better. The employees down there deserve better. And I think it's time that we give everybody here closure and we move on with life and do that. Erlanger came out and adjusted a contract to meet the things that we wanted to be done. The constituents want that, overwhelmingly want to stay with that, and therefore that's why I propose and that's why I'm going to vote that way.
Michael Hudson.
I want to echo the same thing these 2 gentlemen said. I've been in or around Sequatchie County politics my entire life. Been through 3 tax increases, maybe 3 or 4 elections. the feedback I got on this topic was overwhelmingly more than any subject that I've faced in Sequatchie County. When I left the first meeting, I was on the fence. But my constituents, who I represent, who voted me in to make these hard decisions, were overwhelming one way. I can't come here tonight and vote and I grew up in the 6th district. How can I vote against what my constituents, my family, and friends come to me and say they want in this county? And that's where I stand, and that's how I'm going to cast my vote tonight.
Ms. Jones. Thank you, Tom.
This is one of the hardest things I have ever done, and it's been made harder than it should have been. But I know, I hear all this, and I totally agree that we need to listen to our, I haven't had a lot from my district, our 4th district. And I just want to say that the most of it's come from the employees and from out in other districts. And it is overwhelmingly for Erlanger. And I cannot believe the conduct that some of the Erlanger people have had. If I voted on my feelings, I would vote no in a skinny heartbeat, because this has not been good at all. And I think Erlanger's better people that, we know that, we've been through that. But I just want to say that on the other hand, as voting my conscience as our county commissioners are, and I think we all have to agree with that we got to look for our county money, we bear that burden. And if we're one with listening to our people, wherever they are, then I'm okay with that. But in my heart, I feel like Park Ridge is the better way to go. I want to state that. And I thank Park Ridge for being so, staying all the way to the final hour with us, because it's been a hard decision. And some of the people, not all, there's mostly good, but those bad ones have really made it hard to do the right thing.
Mr. Powell.
I've heard a lot from my district, and I want to say that they elect me every time because I represent them. I will commend Park Ridge for playing a good role. They presented themselves well. Erlanger Brad's all done the same thing. But when I get ready to vote, I'm going to call for a question to have a vote, one way or the other, and represent my people I elect me to this office. And with that, I'll call for the vote.
No, comment section's still going at the point of
Comment
order.
section's still going on. Denied at this point.
Just to echo fellow 5th District Commissioner, it's been enlightening the last several days, weeks, whatever you want to call it. It feels like months. I've gotten phone calls, texts, emails. I've tried to respond to each and every one of them, Facebook messages and everything like that. And I've gotten phone calls and texts from people that I didn't even know they had my phone number. I'm not sure how they got my phone number. I'm sure Mr. Cartwright gave it out to them. But anyway, and even in our town hall, when we had our town hall together with the city, I made the statement then that I'm elected and entrusted with this duty by the people of the 5th District, and that's who I listen to, and that's why I vote the way I will vote. Now, personally, as a matter of fact, looking at the contracts and looking at everything else, and I do commend Park Ridge on being in this fight or whatever. But personally, it was a struggle because I went back and forth on both of them, just looking at the contracts and looking at who, what, where. So, the input from the community, from the 5th District, even some people from outside the 5th District, was very much appreciated. And I'll leave it at that, and I will go with the will of my constituents.
Mr. Silver.
When I first got into this role,
I made a comment. I said, everybody that's in the 7th district, if they'll call me and give me a yes, Park Ridge, yes, Erlanger, I will record that. I'll keep up with it. And that was overwhelmingly toward Erlanger. And my wife, she came and talked to me a little bit. And she said, how you gonna go with this? I said, to be honest with you, I'm still sitting here thinking about this. Because I said, there's really 2 issues here. One's emotional, one's financial. And when you look around the county right now is doing very well. They are in really in the driver's seat. And I want to say so much to thank all these folks that have been participating in this. This has been one of the biggest issues that's come up in this county. And in order to get everybody to come together, you've got to have issues. The second part of that is that emotionalism really becomes the driving force, mainly for the communities that you live in, your neighbors, and just to say that, I'm really appreciative for Park Ridge over here. They've really presented us a program. I hope that they'll hang around, because I learned a long time ago, your competition makes you better. So my vote will be with Erlanger, but I expect that Park Ridge will be looking at their shoulders. No, sir.
Well,
This is 3 times you talked to me.
I'd like, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'd like to say that me and Linda here worked tirelessly in her neighborhood, and we've listened to each and every one of them, and we, like I said, well, we pondered on what the financial situation was, how we going about it, but her constituents told us loud and clear. And that's who we're elected by, so we are going to listen to those people. And I appreciate y'all, for coming down and trying to help us. There's nothing personally, we just got to do our role. That's what we got elected for. And thank you very much.
I'd like to say thank you to both Park Ridge and Erlanger both. This vote, it's a little bit different for me in my district, because many in my district go to Chattanooga for care. Some do come to Dunlap, and we understand that. And people reached out to me, mainly employees of Erlanger, a few general citizens of some districts. And so it's a little bit different for the 8th district. And I'm not going to speak for Commissioner Clemens, he can speak for himself there. But this vote comes with concern of liability to the county, and I do not like that. I like to be forthright, transparent, with a lot of integrity. And I don't feel like this complete process has been done with the greatest of integrity. And that is bothersome to me. I've never seen this scenario in this county commission in the 26 years that I have served it. And that is my concern. Thank you. One point. I do have to say, I think both entities would serve this county very well. I firmly believe that. And I appreciate the staff that's currently at Erlanger. Thank to the good Lord, I've never had to use Erlanger Dunlap, and I've been blessed. But I do know some that have and had good service, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd like to
Mr. Wayne.
reiterate what Commissioner Johnson said. Everybody's talking about their constituents and talking to them. Well, in our district, for me, it's been the polar opposite. It's been Park Ridge. The only Erlanger people I've heard from have been employees, like he said. So, I guess I'm dying on a hill here by myself, but we're going to listen to our constituents. I can't go with Erlanger.
All right. Before we call for the question, county executive has a comment. The people with the ugly comments on social media and in person, folks, we're better than that in this community. I love this community. We're better than that. I know social media is enticing, the keyboard warriors out there. I'm not on social media. I'm not going to get on social media. And I'm talking to you. I'm ashamed of whoever. If you made these comments, I'm talking to you. These people here are splendid individuals, elected. They're held in high regard and high standard. I'm proud of them. But the ugly doesn't help anything. And if you made those comments, I'm talking directly to you. I'm Richard from engaging this splendid, classy, professional organization, Park Ridge. I just am so impressed. And with the leadership in Erlanger, I can say the same thing. We've had arguments on both sides, back and forth, but I've made some new friends. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up. I thank the mayor of East Ridge for showing up and showing support. We do. So, Mr. Powell, call for the question.
I call for a question.
Okay. Mr. Mackey, would you repeat the motion at hand, just for clarity?
Yes, sir. I make a motion that the county legislative body, this county commission, formally reject the building lease proposal from Park Ridge. I further make motion that we direct our county executive and our county attorney to perfect the contract with Erlanger's Health Systems based on changes Erlanger agreed to this evening, to be presented to the full commission at its May 19th, 2025 meeting, regular scheduled meeting for formal acceptance.
You've heard the motion. We do have a second on the table. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chester Shell. Linda Lewandowski.
Yes.
Brian Rowling.
Yes.
Dwayne Lane.
Yes.
James Breland.
Yes.
Brian Walker.
Yes.
Joyce Dodson. Yes. James Wilson.
Yes.
Jeff Barger.
Yes.
Paul Powell.
Yes.
Michael Hudson.
Yes.
Jim Dishman. Yes. Frank Silver.
Yes.
Susie Bostick. Yes. Wayne Clemens.
No.
Tommy Johnson.
No.
Tom Venero.
Yes.
Jeff Mackey.
Yes.
The commission has spoke. Congratulations, Erlanger. We do have a little housekeeping. Madam Clerk, appointment of notaries. Read us the bill of fare.
We have two notaries to be presented. I've got Rebecca Wittenberg and Ashley Farman.
What say you? We have a motion from Mr. Jimbo and a second from Mr. Barber. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, said notaries are hereby granted. I'll entertain a motion at this point to adjourn.
So
We stand adjourned.
Please, vote. Everybody says the same.